Welcome to the Nigel MacLean podcast. Speaking nothing but raw truth. So listen.
Real close. Pay attention.
I always thought your last name was Savoie, but it's Savoie.
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 Yeah, everybody says Savoie, but
Oh man.
I make sure to pronounce it right now because my grandparents are just hardcore Acadians. I'm
okay.
half Acadian, so I make sure to say it right now.
I heard you say it in a video, like one of those videos you on there. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's Savoie. For the longest time, I'm like Savoie.
Yeah. Everybody says it that way, and I used to say it that way.
Yeah.
Until my grandparents used to give me shit in interviews. They'd hear it's like it's Savoie, so I make sure
Savoie, yeah.
make sure it's Savoie now.
Is that like French?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you speak French at all?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you do?
my first language. pretty
Oh,
much.
no way.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. I grew up French. Like, my French isn't as good as it used to be, I guess, but when I go to, like...
But if you needed a job where you had to speak French...
Yeah, I speak fluently in French. It's just like, you know, I'm a little rusty. Say I went to, like, my grandparents' hometown.
Yeah.
You know, like... But then in, like, a week, I'm full out, you know, French Acadian. Like, yeah, it's no problem. But I just mean where around here, nobody really speaks French, so I get a little rusty, but...
So do you have any idea when you'll be back doing that, fighting? Like, no? Just...
Yeah, right now with the state of the world, man, it's,
You gotta wait for everything to go back to normal, eh?
Yeah, that's just the,
This is be a waste of time. You're not gonna be able to keep things consistent, you know?
Yeah, that's the big struggle, man, it's just like...
Because it'd be like, you'll have one set up, and then you might not have one for like 6 months or a year, and it's like, you want to be able to just be able to do what you want to do, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like... You know, you could be getting ready for a fight and, you know, an event gets canceled because the new restrictions or the gyms get shut down or...
That's crazy. Shut down gyms. The one thing that we need to stay healthy. Let's shut down the gyms, right? That makes sense. What the fuck?
Don't even get me started, man. Yeah, you know, and a lot of people, you know, they use the gym to, you know... To stay focused and create healthy habits, and you know, a lot of these people, man, they might turn to drugs and alcohol if they don't have access to the gym and a way to, you know, take out their shit. You know, it's just it doesn't make any sense, man, for anybody. You know.
No, it doesn't. No, it's foolishness. Didn't you and Nicholas have like a little rally or something uptown?
Yeah.
I missed that. I wanted to go to that, but I didn't get around to it. I was so busy with the kid and all that.
Yeah.
What did you guys do? Just talk about shit? Like, had like...
Yeah, well, you know him. He's a great public speaker.
Yeah.
You know.
You're just kind of there with him?
Yeah, well, he's part of the PPC campaign, and him and I have become, like, tight since this whole, since I heard he was running, really. And, yeah, and he just asked if I could, you know, basically speak about, like, health and fitness and how it's not right that they're taking those sports away from the kids and things like that, you know.
Yeah, and they have to get the jab or something, right?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
It's so fucked up, especially when you consider...
You ever see that? Sorry.
I was going to say, especially when you consider it's like the odds of them dying from COVID in comparison to the vaccine is like 50 to 1. So essentially the vaccine is 50 times more dangerous for kids.
And they're innocent, so it's like, who's making that decision? Is it the kid? Or is it you know what I mean? It's like, well, the kid doesn't have a choice. If the parent's going to decide for them, like, how the fuck do you even go about that? It's just a kid, man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of people use the argument of, like, you know, when it comes to the vaccine, they're like, oh, you had vaccines when you were kids and stuff like that throughout school, and it's like...
I'm not an anti-vaxxer, man. It's just...
Me neither. That being said... When I was a kid, man, I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, like I didn't know anything. Like they're trying to make it act like, you know, like the argument is like making it seem like when I was a kid, you know, like you were like I don't know, like 4 vaccines. And not to say, like, I'm not anti-vax by any means for other things.
I've had lots, I'm
but-
sure you have too. Right?
Exactly, but in the same sense, I didn't have a choice when I was a kid. They just, you know,
They just kind of did it.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought that was a little weird. They'd line everybody up.
Yeah, back then I didn't question it, right? It was just
Whatever.
like this, you know. Yeah, I was a fucking kid, you know.
Yeah.
That's just something we did in school, you know.
Yeah.
And you look back now, you're like, fuck.
Do you remember the fluoride thing? They like get you the gurgle fluoride. That was weird, right?
I
Do you remember that
think
shit?
so. I've heard talks about it. I'm not sure if I did it
No.
in school or not. I probably did. I just don't
Just,
remember.
it's so long ago, right?
Yeah.
It was like that pink shit. Just tasted terrible.
But I do remember I
So
did
what-
get vaccines.
What's the purpose behind that? They say it's for your teeth, but everybody still get cavities. So
I think I do remember that actually.
Yeah.
And like when I go like to the dentist, they do that. And again, man,
Who
I don't
knows,
know.
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, but I think this entire thing's been good for like people have started to question, you know, COVID and the vaccine, so people are starting to question everything else that, you know, they put into their body. And that's,
Especially this last couple weeks, things have been getting a little crazy with the whole convoy thing. It's
Mhm.
like 500,000 people are involved. You know, you can't say no to that.
yeah, man. Yeah,
That's
it's
wild.
hopefully it's a game changer for us. You know, over 50,000 trucks and like 10,000 U.S. trucks and parking in Ontario till all mandates are over, you know, and who knows what's gonna happen, but in a way, man, it's making a lot of noise and
Do you have
Let's
any
just
idea?
hope.
I haven't been following up with it too much. Do you have any idea how long they're gonna do it for? Like, just,
probably till they run out of money, man, or
Yeah.
whatever, or until
Yeah.
things change, like the way that it sounds. Think about 50,000 fucking trucks
That's
from
insane.
all over the country.
Oh
People
my
come from BC.
God, man.
You know, like it's
It's so many
definitely gonna
people.
be a while. They're gonna be there for a couple of weeks at least. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're not going there for nothing. Basically, you know,
No.
they're not gonna be like, oh, mandates haven't changed in a week. It's like no, they.
Can you imagine shutting down, like, say, like 12% of truckers who don't want to get vaxxed? They're just gonna fire them, and if they did that, it's like 120,000 people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, man.
you know what's gonna happen, right? The milk and everything is gonna go up to like $10 a liter,
Yeah, as if inflation wasn't
right?
crazy enough right now. Yeah,
And then, yeah, exactly.
but yeah, hopefully it's a game changer, man. It's definitely a gigantic thing in Canadian history, and it's something that, you know,
Yeah.
the mainstream isn't pushing at all. Like if you weren't on Facebook, you wouldn't even.
We wouldn't know about
You
it.
would, yeah. Like I was talking to my dad, he didn't even know about it, you know. And I think like a lot of these mainstream, you know, televised things aren't even like they're mentioning it, but they're saying like, oh yeah, dozens of trucks or hundreds of trucks, you know. Meanwhile,
It's only
it's this giant thing in Canadian history, you know.
it's only their version of it, what
Yeah.
you want to hear. It's always about the narrative, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that has to get people questioning like everything, you know, like.
Yeah.
You know,
man.
like we know what's going on with the truckers, therefore, you know, people have to get thinking like other things that they've, you know, potentially hid from us, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you remember the whole entire finding out about the native kids and all that? That was wild.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. And that wasn't that long ago, you know.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, you know, like obviously there's been some very fucking corrupt people in our government's history. You know what I mean? Like how more corrupt do you get? You know, like you're burying innocent
And
fucking
you can't
children.
tell me they didn't know. Like, Trudeau knew about that. He's acting like he had no idea. They know. Of course they know.
Who knows? Who knows? I'm not gonna put blame on anybody.
No.
But however, it's like
Yeah. No,
it's fucked up regardless, and it goes to show like what we've built our foundation on. You know, you look
Yeah.
up like the native history in general, man.
it's wild.
You know, yeah.
Just to treat people like that.
Yeah.
Where in the States it was like all the black dudes where they slaved them, and then for Canada it's like the native dudes. It's like, fuck, dude. There's always like a dark story to something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. Sometimes.
Yeah. I'm always trying to tell people, like, if you can't change your eating habits, or if you don't feel like you're gonna go out and work out, or at least do some push-ups in the morning, or go for a jog, at least take your fucking vitamins, man. Especially this time of year. You know.
Yeah, and like even then, man, like vitamins, you know, like the way people have to look at vitamins is like it's a supplement, meaning that it's a supplement for something that you're not getting in your diet.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so like. You know, it's great.
It
you
helps.
know, it helps. But if you're eating, you know, like pogos and fucking ice cream and think that a multivitamin's gonna,
No, it's not
you
gonna.
know,
It's not
protect
gonna.
you from the flu, then
No.
you're living on cloud nine. You know.
Yeah, it's not gonna help.
Yeah.
Do you take vitamins at all?
I actually all I really take now is a probiotic.
Just to keep your gut health.
Yep. They say that 70% of your immune system's in your gut. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, that's
I
one of
think
the only
there's-
things that I take. Prior to that, I used to take a whole bunch of vitamins, man. I used to I'd basically
go
bring
ham.
them with me,
Yeah.
and like I thought that I needed all these vitamins, and it wasn't until I came to that realization, I was educated by good people, that like the reason why I need all these supplements is because there's something wrong that I'm doing. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm either not getting the right nutrients in me,
Yeah.
or through food naturally, or I'm just overdoing it in my training, you know.
Right.
And then you know, so.
Because if you're feeling good and you feel like your drive's there and you're like full of energy, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling shitty, it's probably too many cheeseburgers or whatever,
100%.
or not enough water.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the thing, right? Like people look at like we've got to get the notion of supplements out of our heads, I guess, because like that's
Yeah.
where like Tylenol, for example, people think like, oh, I got a headache, I gotta take a Tylenol.
When they
It's
should
like,
be just drinking more water.
drink more water, go get some sun,
Get some
eat
electrolytes.
healthy, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Like fuel your body,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah, so supplements should be last resort. Medical and pharmaceutical, you know, those steps should be your last resort, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the controversy with COVID right now. It's like you should only be
Isn't it
going to the hospital or seek, you know,
unless you're almost dying. Or
yeah, or you know, there's steps
there's
to
okay.
prevent before getting to that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like that's a problem with society, man. We
They're
need
so
to,
paranoid. Like those people, like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Like, no, you're gonna be fine, man.
and it's like
Shit.
build a strong immune system and build a strong body. Therefore, you don't have to be afraid of this shit, you know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and don't get me wrong, you know, I don't want to be ignorant. There are
no.
there's some healthy people who are, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I've heard that COVID has affected them, and that's when we should be grateful for the Medicare system.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's where we step in that way, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, there's so many steps that we could be taking prior to that, and that's like the message I've been trying to get out, man. Is just like, why isn't the government talking about that? You know what I mean? They're just saying jab, jab,
Dude,
jab, jab.
I've said that so many times. It's hilarious, right? Like, they'll say one size fits all. Like, you'll have a 400-pound dude and a 90-pound dude, same size shot, and it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, that's gonna react to him the same way. That's crazy. They're not promoting health or anything. They're not even saying like, hey, maybe you should take a little extra vitamin D or something. You know?
Yeah.
They don't do none of that. It's just jab, 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 like you're saying.
Yeah, and it's just like I've been telling people, if they're saying eat well, you know, get sun, get fresh air, exercise, and get the vaccine, because that will help too. Then it would be
Right.
easier for me to get behind it, right? Because I'd be
Right.
like, okay, well the intentions are in the right place, you know.
Right.
But it's like when you're just basically pushing people to get vaccinated, and everybody else is a threat to the system and society. It's a load of shit.
Oh yeah. It's like just dividing people like that's crazy. Oh, you're a vaxxer or an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, and they keep talking about how like, oh, you know, like how they're not forcing it. But it's like, you know, there's a meme going around. It's like, no, they're not forcing it. They're just taking every single thing away from you until you comply, you know? And
Yeah.
it's just fucked up, man. It's splitting up families, you know, like these last two.
It's like discipline.
Yeah.
For it's like discipline. It's like being strict on kids, but we're talking about adults here.
Yeah.
It's wild, and they're going against like the the amendment or whatever you
Charter
want
of
to call it.
Rights.
Yeah, Charter of Rights. Like they're violating it.
Yeah.
Which is like, I know it's just written on paper, but that's the whole point of Canada, right?
Yeah.
And they just violate it like it's nothing.
Yeah, like, all of a sudden they have this higher authority than the Charter of Rights, and I'm not the most educated person on politics or
No, me
Charter of
either.
Rights or any of that, but it sounds fucked up anyways.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, man. Usually, when I get up, I'll have 4 eggs, and I don't always fuck with bacon, but I'll have a little bit of bacon. I make some like homemade sausages and shit,
Yep.
and I'll have like a smoothie
Yeah.
and like some salad or something like every morning.
Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the type of thing you do? Like,
I'm a big carnivore guy.
so it's like meat, everything meat?
Not everything meat, but I eat a lot of meat.
Yeah.
And I eat a lot of like grass-fed organic meat, preferably.
Oh, that's good.
I get it from a farm.
Do you eat a lot of pork or like?
I'll have bacon here and there.
Yeah. Like pork chops or anything like that? Is it mostly
not-
beef?
Yeah, I eat mostly beef,
Oh,
just
okay.
just because it's more convenient for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like pork chops. It's just
What about breakfast? Do you eat a lot of eggs?
yeah. I love eggs. Love eggs.
How many do you eat every morning?
It depends.
Just
But
like-
usually if I have a meal, like I like steak and eggs, and I'll have like anywhere from 4 to 6 eggs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 has been my standard for a while now, just because 2 doesn't cut it, 3 doesn't really cut it, but 4, it lasts until like 6 o'clock. Like
Yeah.
I have it in the morning, because I only like eating twice. I'll
Yeah.
snack in between, but 4 eggs. Man, I started doing that like 2 years ago, and what a fucking difference, man.
Yeah.
Just having that continuous protein every morning,
Yeah.
you know? Because like, I used to be 120 pounds, now I average at 155.
Yeah.
And I was like 120, and it's like, it wasn't enough. It felt like deprived.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing, right? Like once you get like in tune with your body, you start to like recognize how much food affects you, you know? Like I always
Yeah.
tell people that like you don't know what it's like to feel good until you've consistently till you feel good, then you feel bad again. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So what I mean is like if I ate a cheeseburger right now from McDonald's, I'd be in a near coma. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'd feel like absolute shit because
yeah,
my
just-
body's like danger,
What is
danger,
this?
danger. Yeah.
Get this out of me.
But I know that like say I'm like there's been times where I slack off and I'm kind of cheating and I'm eating junk food. Then your body almost gets used to it, eh?
Yeah.
So it's like, but then you don't. Once I start eating healthy again, I'm like, oh, that's what it's like to fucking strive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what it's like to feel good.
You don't. You think that that feeling that you're feeling all the time is normal, and you forget like, oh man, this isn't even feeling
Exactly. You forget what it's like to feel good. You
Yeah.
know? And I hear people talk. They're like, I hear people say like, oh, I don't feel the difference if I eat McDonald's or
good. It's because they're not doing it continuously.
or eggs and fruit, for example. And
Yeah.
it's, well, to me that shows me like you're out of touch with your body.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
your body should be telling you that
Yeah.
McDonald's is shit and that eggs and fruit is good for you.
Yeah.
But like if you can't feel the difference, that's not something to be like proud of.
No,
It's
no.
like that's your chemistry fucked up, man.
And
Your
those-
body should be telling you this shit isn't what we want. You
And
know?
those people, they'll eat good for like a week and say, it didn't do much.
Exactly, right? And
Yeah.
it's consistently.
And there's always an excuse.
They say it takes 4 weeks to basically, create a new habit.
Yeah,
and
you gotta replenish all your cells and everything.
Yeah.
And what's crazy too is a lot of people don't know, but the amount of neurons in your gut, I think it's like more neurons than in your brain. So you actually get like a brain going on in your stomach.
Yeah, that's what they say.
It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
But if you think like, you ever get bad vibes from people? You just
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you get that gut feeling, like, I shouldn't be around this motherfucker right now.
Yep.
That's like,
Dude, and that right there, man, that's exactly the fact that we've lost touch with that is what's wrong with society right now. It's like,
totally.
we're so stuck up here, we try to make like logic out of everything because that's what we've been educated to do and essentially like ignore that gut feeling.
It seems like in school they teach you to ignore that.
Where
Right.
like that gut feeling, like you were saying, like and like like millions of years of evolution was I believe that's where our gut feelings come from, and that's
vibes.
where exactly. It's
Yeah.
like it's able to sense like, oh, this guy's full of shit, you know.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is, like sometimes we get that gut feeling, but we look at the guy, he acts politically correct, and he looks good on paper, essentially.
Yeah.
But like,
it's a good front.
I'm telling you, man, almost every single time I've had a bad feeling on somebody, and people will vouch that for me, like friends and family. And like I'll tell them, I'll be like, I just get a weird vibe from that person. I don't know why. I feel guilty. There's nothing wrong. Almost every fucking time, man, something comes out where that person's shady. You know?
Yeah.
And I think and that's like our fucking superpower as humans, man. And like
seriously, man, it's like
that's the thing. We've lost touch with that, So.
Yeah, man. I've been following my gut. Not even like. Just recently, I started following my gut, and things have gotten so much better. Where before, I would ignore it, and I'd be like, man, this person, like, I can't be around this person, and I keep getting that gut feeling, and it'd be like anxiety, and you literally feel like you're dying. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? And then once you get away from it, you feel awesome, man. It's like,
man.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, and like when you don't listen to your gut, that's when like. You end up in these situations and like
bad shit always happens.
Exactly, and it's like it's almost like like eventually you're gonna learn the lesson. Like you're gonna learn to listen to that. Hopefully.
The dumbasses never do. They just get beat until they're dead.
Yeah, man, and some of these people, man, unfortunately, like they just like. Again, it's the way that we're educated and the way that we live in this, artificial environments, and we're not eating real food and all these things, and they completely sends us out of whack with, our intuition and our gut feeling, essentially, All these things are a factor.
Yeah, it seriously seems like, I remember just being in elementary school, if you mention anything about, like, just like vibes or whatever, I don't know. It always just seemed like they're trying to keep us from that whole entire sense, or it would sound like voodoo or something if you mentioned it.
And that's the thing, man. We've like, for
what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's still kind of that way, even though there is like, I feel like a global spiritual shift happening right now with everything going on. But like,
and when you try to talk about somebody, like when I would say something, what, you can read my mind? Okay, what am I thinking? Like, no, it's not words. Like I can kind of have an idea of what you're gonna say or like what's gonna happen because I can feel the vibe, but it's all about feel. And
that's the thing, man. Like, it's only been the last 20, 30 years that we've been like these like
people are
anti-spiritual, anti-religious kind of society, but since the beginning of humanity, that's pretty much, not the beginning, but like I don't know the fucking timeline, but there's for the most part humans have been spiritual beings, like we and when I say spiritual beings, I just mean like
and it usually
in touch with things like that, like your gut and like your intuition and stuff like that.
It usually comes from the plants, and we've like separated ourselves from like the plants.
I think that, like you're speaking like psychedelics specifically.
Like governments demonize it.
Yeah, and
and that's real bad.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, man, like a little bit of mushroom and a little bit of puff.
It's a mushroom.
It
grows like that. You're not cooking up meth.
Yeah, and it could really like enlighten people to to take the first steps. Yeah. You know what I mean? I do think that anything can be abused.
Oh, for sure.
But like. Like anything that will.
I always say this though. I'll challenge you to abuse mushrooms. We'll see how that goes. Right?
Yeah, I still think you can abuse mushrooms.
Yeah, you probably could.
I definitely think. Here's my thing. So like.
Too much of anything's bad.
Yeah, and like reliance on anything is bad. That's my thing. So it's dependence exactly. Yeah. So if you need to take mushrooms in order to
feel normal,
or feel spiritual or whatever.
Those people who are microdosing all the time. It's like, I don't know if that's good. Like,
and to each their own, man. Like no judgment from me.
It's okay to do it here and there, but if you're doing it like for a year straight, I don't know if that's good.
I just think if you are dependent on something or
Right.
you're relying on something, then I have a hard time thinking that, I think these psychedelics can be extremely useful, but use it as a tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Use it I think Jordan Peterson talks about that, and a lot of people, Aubrey Marcus, I'm a big fan of Aubrey Marcus, but talks about like using psychedelics like tactfully. You know what I mean? Like take it and go through something and take the message out of it and apply it into your sober life. You know what I mean?
It has to be. It has to be respected and treated like it's
like a fucking therapist or something.
Yeah, like a precious
thing.
thing.
And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with doing them and having a good time and whatever, right? But it's just like, that would be my only criticism, is just like, don't get dependent on them or anything, right?
Anything.
If you're eating too much, fucking anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
too much anything's bad.
You're smoking too much weed. If you're, obviously drinking too much. If you're,
that can be really destructive. Like smoking too much dope, you start getting real paranoid, and it's not even the dope that's bad. It's you that's bad, and you're just making it look bad because you're doing it so much, and you're getting super paranoid. And you're fucking up the relationships with everybody that you got around you because you're all paranoid, smoking it too much, and it's like it's not good. Right?
that's when you know you got a problem, right?
yeah.
But and at the end of the day, man, you gotta look at it like you gotta be your own. You just gotta be real with yourself. That's what it comes down to. Like,
don't bullshit yourself.
Exactly. If you're abusing something. Like I know people who smoke weed every day, and they're probably fine with it. You know what I mean? That works for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But only they know that. Like either it does work or something in them is telling them, hey, man, like. Maybe you're just smoking weed to hide from other shit,
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it comes down to, knowing yourself. Know thyself.
Yeah. Have you ever? Do you know anything about Graham Hancock?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've listened to some of his, like YouTube videos and stuff. I have a hard time putting my, like, specifically who he is.
Okay.
But I know the name, and he's like a philosopher kind of guy, right?
He's usually talking about just what happened the last 10,000 years with he's always mentioning about like how we're basically a society with amnesia, where a big cataclysm happens, like an asteroid hits or a solar flare goes off, and then we're like reset, and everybody's looking around like, what is all these pyramids and shit? Like, what is all this? And we just don't like it. It's like he was talking about like what you were saying, how you need to respect it, like the psychedelics and all that, and you need to appreciate it. And I remember him talking about how weed had bad effects on him, and then he went down to the Amazon to do the ayahuasca. You ever hear about like the DMT and all that? Yeah. And it put him into a state where it made him feel like the other people around him, like his wife and all that, he started thinking like she was cheating on him and all this. And it was all just paranoia because he's smoking like 30 joints a day or whatever it is, just smoking a ridiculous amount of dope, just paranoid. Yeah. And it just put him in her situation. And then he took like a long ass break from it. And he just dips his toes in the water a little bit here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that sounds like, he recognized that, he might have been going a little batshit with smoking 30 joints a day, and, he had to find balance with it, right? And that's the thing, man, and like, that's, again, it comes down to knowing thyself, and then, like, figuring out what works for you, you know what I mean? Like, you might smoke weed once every 3 days, and I might smoke weed once every 5 days, and that's our balance, just for example, you know what I mean? Some people like having a drink here and there. Yeah. I don't do well with alcohol. I know that. You know what I mean? That's like... And
it's good that you can admit that, man.
Yeah.
It really is. Because there's a lot of bad drunks out there.
Yeah, and I do think, if we're on the topic, I do think that, for the most part, like...
Booze has done terrible things for
exactly.
society.
Smoking weed is for the most part, healthier than drinking.
For for sure. I mean, you gotta think about what you're putting in your body. It's like if you can take a bunch of potatoes and you let it sit and rot until you get like a clear toxic fluid on top. And you're like, I'm gonna drink that.
They actually say like, you know, like it's like a spiritual killer as well, right? Because
yeah, man, it dulls you and makes you like, you know, like you're stupefied.
Then it's like you hear people like, you know, like drunk confidence, and you hear like, you know, that's why people go to the club and just fuck random people and.
It's gross.
Yeah,
it's not good for your psyche. It's not good for anything.
And then that's the problem, right? You do things that you wouldn't do
that's what I don't like.
Unless you were on alcohol, you know?
Right.
Then you hear people like, you know, like, again, like the drunk confidence thing, but it's like...
If you can't do that
dependency,
sober,
exactly. It all comes down to that dependency thing. It's like, yeah, exactly. If you can't do that sober, then...
Why are you doing it?
Exactly, why are you doing it? And there's probably a good reason why you're not doing it, you know?
Exactly.
So, and if your problem is like, oh, you know, like when I'm drunk, I can't go talk to girls. Well, it's like, well, then learn how to talk to girls sober, you know what I mean? Like, like, and again, you know, I'm not a drinker myself, but if somebody has a couple drinks to loosen up here and there, whatever. Right,
yeah,
like
that's fine.
But like, you know, if you need to get
moderation,
if you need to get blackout drunk every weekend to talk to people, then there's a problem. Right? So again, it all comes down to like, know thyself, man.
Yeah, that sounds real bad having to do that. You know, it's like there's guys out there who they'll rape girls from drinking, right? But they wouldn't do it sober. And it's like, bro, you probably shouldn't be doing that, eh?
Well, yeah, that's obviously as bad as it gets, you know. But yeah, man, alcohol is
man, if you think about it,
is an underrated, horrible drug for the most part.
To think that it's so glorified by society is crazy. Like to think that it's so accepted and it's so toxic and it's so crazy. You know, to think something like that is just so, and it took forever for everybody to get used to weed or for them to legalize weed. Yeah. You know.
And that's the way I look at weed, man. Like, obviously you can abuse weed and you can get paranoid and you can do that and that, but it's like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You know, like, like your friends need to talk to you and be like, hey man, you're smoking too much weed. You know, get out of the house. You know, you know, like that's probably the worst that can happen. With alcohol, shit can get real messy real quick. You know, so yeah.
What's the worst that's gonna happen with weed? You're gonna pass out, wake up, eat everything in sight, and then like shit, gain some weight. You probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you just gotta find balance, man. You gotta figure out what your balance is, and that's the thing, man. Like there's no one size shoe fits all. You know what I mean? Like I love martial arts. You know what I mean? I'm a fighter, but I don't expect.
I think that's essential though, because if you didn't do that, you might be a crazy person.
Yeah, who knows?
It's a good outlet, right?
For sure, and but what I'm getting at is like some people like, you know, football. Yeah. Some people like hiking. I love hiking too, but some people love, you know, all kinds of anything. You know, and I'm using exercise as an example, but like what I mean is like
some people paint, some people draw.
Exactly, man. Figure out what the fuck gets you going. You know what I mean, and find a good balance of who you are. Yeah, and figure out what that is. You know,
that's definitely a big problem with everybody. Like right now, it seems. I mean, it's been a problem for a while, but if you think about right now, there's so many people who are lost. They don't know what they want to do. Mm-hmm. They don't know, like, they don't even have a thing that they like doing. Like there isn't a like I like shooting the compound bow, man. That's my favorite fucking thing. Or like painting. Like that's just what I like doing.
Compound bow is what? Like the big guys, like the hunting bows?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's got the little I'll show you when we're done, but
just a devastating weapon, eh?
Yeah. Well, you could probably do, like, if you're good with it, you could probably do like 4 to 6 arrows a minute with a compound bow. Where with like a recurve, you could do way more because it's just hard to kind of reload with the compound because you get to put this wrist strap on because it's so much force. You can't just pull with your fingers. Yeah. You need like this little clip.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, like I said, that's. You like doing that shit, right? Which is great.
Being able to do something and get better at it. get better at a skill.
And like get better at a skill, man. That's everything. You know what I mean? Like I think as human beings, like we like you hear like Joe Rogan talk about this too, but he's like we look at we think that the glory of life is being on the beach and drinking margaritas.
That asshole who's got people fanning him and
and it's like, man, like
you don't want to be that guy.
No, and it's like that will get so fucked up after 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like
what am I doing?
Yeah. Essentially, humans, man, we need goals. Like I've noticed this myself. Like
you need a purpose.
Yeah, like heading into a fight and like after the fight, when I win, it's this big glory moment.
But if you lose, you're like, man, I gotta come back twice as hard.
Right? But what I'm getting at is even if I win, with that ultimate high comes that low. So what I mean is like I was so driven, it's the journey essentially that we love. We love the journey.
Yeah.
And once you attain it, it's good for a couple days. But what happens to me is like, okay, what now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What now?
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? Party forever and celebrate the fucking fight? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the problem, man. Is that there's no end game. You know what I mean? There's no like, oh, I've reached here. Now I can settle down. I can sit back, smoke my weed, and drink my margarita and sit in the sun.
You're chasing the carrot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then that's exactly it, man. Just you need to constantly be working towards skills, and that's what
you're gonna be useless if you don't, right?
Yeah. You're not. I have a hard time thinking that you're gonna be a happy individual.
Yeah.
And then money only goes so far, man.
Oh yeah, I have that conversation with people all the time where it's like, man, you could have lots of stuff, but you're not being fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get all this nice stuff, it's like that's great, but are you happy? Are you having a good family life? Like what's going on there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you start to think that money's everything, and then you hear like billionaires who are like depressed all the time, right?
Yeah, and they kill themselves or whatever.
But it's just because like it just goes to show, right? Like you can't ignore all your problems and think that you can just live this high life all the time. And on top of that, when you do that, like that's why these billionaires like say they're like hooking up with this model. Then it's like, well, one model isn't enough. I need 10. And it's like, well, 10 models isn't enough. I need them all twerking, and that's when fucked up shit starts happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I'm getting at is like, they're just never happy. You know what I mean? You just need more and more and more, and that's when people start getting those fucked up things.
That's an unhealthy version because it could go really good, like you're saying, to want more and more, like you want that next fight. But if you're actually doing something, if you're improving yourself and you're getting better at something and you're getting to the next thing, it's good in that aspect. But if it's in the other aspect of just needing more bitches or needing more money and it's not going anywhere healthy, because you can take it to a really unhealthy place, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have it like in the goal reaching spot, and it's like purpose,
Yeah, man. Yeah. We're purpose-driven animals, you know? Like, and then you got to think, like, I always look back at, like, what were our ancestors doing? There was always a fucking purpose. The purpose was to eat
food.
And fucking get shelter.
Protect your women.
And mate, and exactly. And fucking kill people, you know what I mean? But, but that was the thing, right? We're still that, essentially. We're just that in this crazy fucking crazy environment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like, once, and that's what happened with humanity, man. I have these conversations with people is that like, we reached a point where we were good, we had shelter. We had, and I'm talking like Western society,
Oh yeah.
For the most part, we had like shelter, we had food, like everything was good. And that's when we're like, well, let's start fucking making shit. Get into technology.
Once we get comfortable, it's like, oh, I don't have to go hunting anymore. Everything's right there where I need it.
And it's like, So like,
but you don't want to become spoiled, and that's a big issue today, where everybody's kind of spoiled by society, and we're in the middle of refinding our purpose of where our direction's going. Like, what are we doing? Like, what's our ultimate goal? What are we, you know what I mean? Like, what are we planning here? We're getting all wound up with this whole entire fucking cooties fucking COVID thing, and it's like, this is just a little, I don't know, like a clusterfuck, and I think these things are going to pop up and go down over time, but there's got to be a point where we make an advancement, you know, because there's so many people like thinking the way that we are, and it's starting to become more popular for people to start thinking like we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I think that goes back to like the thing with COVID, man. I think it's been a great awakening. Yeah. And then you see that. You're seeing like this global awakening. And, you know, I'm somebody who believes in God or the universe. I believe, you know, I call God the universe. I believe in something bigger.
Yeah.
I believe that everything happens for a reason. And like, you know, I think
are you in the middle? Because I'm stuck in the middle. Like I don't say like, okay, it's a Buddha or it's Jesus or it's this. I'm just kind of stuck in the middle and whatever.
Yeah, I've studied some religions and I haven't gone in like crazy depth.
You don't want to kiss anybody's feet or bow to anybody. That's just stupid to me. Like, you know, you want to appreciate, like, for me, like, if I'm going to worship anything, it's going to be the fucking sun, because it created everything. It gives life to everything. It grows all of our food. It keeps the weather going. It literally created Earth. So, and I can see it. It's there. I can feel it hit my skin. So if I'm going to worship anything, it's going to be the fucking sun.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I respect anybody in their religions, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I respect all religion.
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
I think at the end of the day, like, the older I grow, the more I think that, like, as long as your religion is representing, you know, like, good morals,
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what we're missing, man. We're missing not necessarily religion, but, like, living by a code. You know what I mean? A code of honor.
Yeah.
And even like, you know, like the samurais, you know what I mean? They weren't necessarily religious.
Well, I was talking to Nicholas about this. Like the way that I like think and the way that I live is probably the same way you do. You go by moral code. You just know, like, right from wrong. It's not like a good and evil type thing. It's just there's a moral standard and a moral code.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially, yeah. And at the end of the day, that
and if
comes
you can
down.
get that from religion, then that's good.
Yeah.
As long as you're not trying to dump your religion on others and try to get them into, and then it becomes like a cult thing. You don't want it to be like that. But as long as people are, you know, doing good things.
Yeah, as long as they're, you know, like, respectful within the religion. Again, like, you know, like, I have friends that are Christian, I have friends that are Buddhist, you know.
Well, like Scientology, that's just crazy. Like that type of thing, that's an unhealthy type of religion.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the.
Yeah, it's just like a new religion, and it's just some wacky shit, you know. Yeah. It's just
And it just based on like the terminology Scientology, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, this one guy talks about this fucking spaceship going here and there and whatever, and bringing it's too much to get into, but it's wacky, you know. And you got to think, well, are the other ones are just kind of created like that, you know. But like you said, as long as it's keeping people on a good track, then there's probably nothing wrong with it.
No, man. Again, you know, I have a lot of friends that are religious. I have some Muslim friends.
But if it's causing war, then that's another issue.
Yeah, and again, it all comes down to know thyself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Know thyself. And I guess that's a Buddhist saying. But that's where I stand with religion, right? I see, you know, I've listened to good things from the Bible. I've listened to good things in Buddhist, you know. And yeah, you know, I don't associate myself. I don't say I'm Buddhist, I'm Christian, I'm this. Personally, and who knows, maybe I will someday.
You can live by those ways. That's good enough.
Yeah.
You don't want to be consumed by it. I like the whole idea of the whole, like, just like these statues. They're always like sitting peacefully, and they're just. It's like, well, that's it. You gotta have it. You gotta be right in the mind, right in the body, and just like be peaceful. You know.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about.
At the end of the day, that's what it's about, yeah.
I think people got the wrong idea about the whole overall Buddhist thing. They think that they got to go worship the statue and everything. It's like, no, that's not what it's about. They're trying to show you got to be peaceful with your mind and you got to meditate and take it easy. That's the whole concept.
And again, I'm not super educated on Buddhism, but like based on what I understand, they're all about like karma and building good karma.
Respect.
Yeah,
everything.
and I believe in karma and just like
I've done shitty things and it's resulted to shitty things where like I know for a fact if I did things a little different in certain situations, it would have went way better. Mm-hmm. Karma's a real thing. It just some people think like, okay, well if you do bad things all day, you're gonna get hit by a truck. Well, no.
You
can see
could.
the truck.
Depending on what happens. But,
Exactly, right? Yeah.
But yeah.
It doesn't work like that, but it's just,
no, it doesn't work like that necessarily.
if you're gonna treat let's say a girl like real shitty, and you know she's trying to treat you good, and you keep being shitty to her, and then all of a sudden she goes off with someone else, and you get fucked up from it. Well, that's a result of your shittiness. That's karma.
Sometimes, right? And like, yeah, sometimes
it kind of works like that.
And sometimes I believe, like, I think karma works in so many ways, right? Like,
yeah, it's just energy exchanges.
You know, like, you could meet somebody and be an asshole and not really even know it, you know, and like, then
it boils down to intent. You know.
Yeah, and then like, you know, then because you were mean to her, you know, she goes and treats somebody else like shit.
Yeah, everything boils down to
But then
intent.
she learns that she was getting treated like shit, and then so she becomes a good person out of it. You know, it works in crazy ways, man.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm a big believer in karma in the sense of like, yeah, you know,
it's definitely a real thing. It's like a well, like I was saying, it boils down to intent. Like, as long as you have good intentions, man, and you want to intend good things for other people.
That's what it comes down to, for sure.
Yeah.
But I also think, and speaking from personal experience, I think that I've had times where my intentions were right.
They were good.
But looking back, it wasn't the right thing to do or not the right choice, even though my intentions at the time, based on the knowledge that I had.
Right. It was like unacknowledged. Like, yeah, I see what you're trying to say.
And I do think that, like, you know, there were consequences to that and bad karma, but it was also, in the grand scheme of things, it might have been part of the other person's karma. You know what I mean? The fact that I was confused and whatever, you know? But
there's so many variables.
There's so many variables, man. But like you just said, I think as long as your intentions are clear,
you got it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you don't let ego consume you and trip on your own ego.
Yeah, and then we all have to keep that in check, man.
You have to.
I think
it's like an inner demon.
Yeah, man. As a human being, it's
I've tripped on my own ego before, and then I've snapped out of it. And we all know what really snapped me out of it was a substance. But I was going to snap out of it anyways. It just kind of helped me get there quicker. That's the good thing about mushrooms or LSD or, you know, all those spiritual ones.
Yeah, it's like we're talking about, man. I don't know if we're talking about it on air or not, but yeah, I think that, you know, if that was a gateway for you, phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people need that shit, man, you know?
Well, you can be bound and wound up by a bunch of shit that you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
Like, when I was in grade 10, and I would always be worried about people would think of me, or, like, there would be these guys that would strong-arm me. There'd be, like, a group of 10 of them, and they're always, like 3 or 4 years older than me, and they're just being assholes, and I'd be scared because I was smaller and they're bigger, and then after, like, one trip, I was sitting there, and then all that went away. I wasn't scared anymore. I'm like, fuck these guys, man. And then as soon as I had that attitude, and I was like, fuck these guys, and I just stopped thinking about it and didn't give a shit, it stopped.
Yeah.
They didn't feel that pussyism off me anymore, and they didn't feel like they could take advantage, and I just ignored it and just walked away. It was like, that problem's solved.
Yeah, man, the universe works in crazy ways, and it's like you said,
they prey upon weak people.
Yeah, and it's like you said, the giving the vibe. You said pussyianism.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was being a little bitch.
But it's funny you say that, man, because like at the end of the day, that comes down to that intuition thing and that subconscious, and
it's
a lot of time, like people can sense that shit. You know,
can.
like
unconsciously too.
Like I know, like you know, I used to be a bouncer, and so. A lot of people probably think that I'm like this fucking savage, you know, which I can be, obviously.
You have to be, yeah.
But like when periodically, but for the most part, man, I'm actually a pretty nice guy. And when I was younger, I was nice to a fault in some situations, in the sense that, like, you know, like I remember being a bouncer and just, you know, like situations like at the bar. And so my problem is what happens with me things that have happened to me is that, like, people know that I'm a fighter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So most people
So they
for
wouldn't
the
fuck
most part,
around.
people respect me and fuck off.
Yeah.
But then you get the odd guy who, you know, gets in my face and tries to
He'd want to be the other buck in the woods and be like, "You want to go?"
just tries to prove a point. You know, it's just an ego battle and like.
It's what it is, yeah.
But in the past, man, I've let guys like kind of like get in my face, you know, forehead to forehead, and kind of grab my face. Nobody's ever like gone farther than that because they know I'd crush them.
Yeah.
However,
You don't
subconsciously, I gave off the vibe, and I know I did that. It was okay in a sense to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I guarantee you,
Yeah.
if somebody tries to do that, they know if they step a foot in front of me,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
'cause
catch me the wrong day.
You're letting that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's not gonna happen. That's all I gotta say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just relating to what you're saying, right? If you give off this timid, you can do something to me and get away with it vibe.
Yeah.
Might happen.
Yeah, and that's literally like prey in the woods,
Yeah.
right? Like you got this big thing that wants to eat and this little scared thing where like you see nature videos and one lion can scare 20 buffalo, but then once in a while the buffalo realize that they have the upper hand and they all start charging towards the lion.
Mm-hmm.
Those videos are crazy to watch. It's like, oh shit, he's getting fucked up, and they all start like fucking him up.
Yeah.
Because the fear, it switches over, and then all of a sudden now he's scared.
Yeah.
And they know because of intent, like, oh wait, we got this motherfucker.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's why like watching animals interact is really interesting, man.
It is, yeah.
It comes down like we are still that, you know what I mean, on a
We
fundamental
get confused with the whole language thing.
And we get
Yeah.
confused with the whole like logic reasoning things, which is also one of our superpowers. However, it's not everything.
You got to think, what if we did everything that we normally do in society every day, but without talking?
Mm-hmm.
We could still make it work.
Yeah, man.
But think about how weird that would be. Then you start to think, oh, what actually are we doing? We would look like an ant colony. They're not talking, but like think about it. Like wait, we could literally do everything that we normally do throughout the day, but no one talks. We're just basically moving shit around.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, what's our ultimate goal here? And I honestly think that no one really knows what our ultimate goal is. We're basically like a fucking caterpillar, and we're morphing into a butterfly, but we don't know what the fucking butterfly looks like.
Yeah, man, and
It's a
I
great
think the
analogy.
ultimate goal is just to become the best version of yourself, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I like to think of it like we're only here a blink of time.
Yeah.
And
Like a
you know,
little-
yeah. In the grand scheme of things, you know what I mean? That we're here for that long, and you know we have a purpose, and you know, and that's not to like think like, oh, I'm nothing. You know what I mean?
No.
It's just also to recognize that like.
I think even time's like a man-made concept. I feel like there's no linear path from the dinosaurs to here. It's just like it's either you're alive or you're dead. You know what I mean? And it's just erosion. It's
Time fucks me up, man.
It's
but
not. Well, 'cause I try to get people like to think like this because then it makes more sense. Because time's a man-made concept. The only thing that's really happening is you're alive or you're dead, and there's wear and tear on matter. You know what I mean? Like those bones aren't a million years old. It's just that they've been wearing and tearing for that time. But you could recycle that same bone matter and create a new dinosaur. And it's not that it lived a million years ago. It's just alive or dead.
Yeah.
You know? So like science gets you all fucked up because they talk about time, and it's like, well, you shouldn't be mixing a man-made construct in with science because then it's like it's dogma or whatever. It's like a contradictory thing. It doesn't make any sense. And you actually have real scientists talking about time machines. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, a time machine? There ain't no time machine. Like, it's just people doing stuff, and we're picking up, moving shit around. And either you're alive or dead, and that's it.
Yeah, man. Time definitely fucks me up.
It's a mind fuck, right?
Yeah, I've gone, you know, down the loophole a few times, but it definitely fucks me up.
Yeah.
I can see any argument, right? Where,
Right.
like,
Do you see where I'm coming from?
oh,
when it comes to that?
definitely, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Nobody fucking knows. You know what I mean? We're all.
And everybody pretends like they know, but they don't know shit.
No, we don't know shit, man. Even everything that we're saying right now, we don't know fuck all. You know, we're just doing our best. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
And again, when I say that, that doesn't mean like, well, keep your mouth shut because you don't know fuck all. That's not what it is. It just means in the grand scheme of things, we're just making words and you know trying to figure shit out. But Yeah, in the grand scheme
I
of
think-
things, man. Like people 1,000 years from now, they're either, if people even exist, the robots by that time. But like they're gonna look back at this and they might think, oh wow, that was an advanced generation, or they might think, oh, those guys are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
They still haven't figured out time,
And then, you think like simulation theory? Have you ever dived into that at all?
like the metaverse.
Or but just to think that we're already in it.
Oh yeah. That fucks me up too.
And, yeah, because I used to think that when I was little, and then I watched the Truman Show, and then that really kicked in, and I was like, do you remember the Truman Show?
Man,
His life was a TV show.
You're the second person or the third person to recommend that to me, so I'm probably gonna have to watch it. Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Is it a movie?
Yeah, it's Jim
Okay,
Carrey.
okay.
It's one of his best movies. His whole life's basically a lie, and he's living in a TV show with hidden cameras everywhere,
Yeah.
and he has no idea. And eventually he figures it out. I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's a good movie. It gets you thinking. It's
I'm
like
gonna have to
watching The
watch it.
Matrix.
Yeah, well, I'm a huge Matrix fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever watch Jupiter Ascending?
No.
No, you should watch that, man. It's the same people who made The Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get these
It's
from you.
pretty good.
'Cause, I love all that shit.
Their currency in Jupiter Ascending is time. Well, basically, like, it's not really time. It's just keeping yourself alive. And they have this special material that they take that rejuvenates them back to, like, the age of 25. And they just keep resetting the clock over and
Interesting.
over again. Yeah. And that's the currency. Like, that's what they're all doing. And they basically breed... They basically colonize planets and breed like creatures like humans, and then they have to refine them. It takes like 100 humans to make a bottle of this stuff, and a bottle of this stuff can give you like 1,000 years or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always
it's trippy.
I always wondered
I love the Wisconsin.
like being able to stay in your prime forever.
Yeah.
Like to live for
But
eternity.
then again, it's like, would you want to?
I don't think so, man.
No.
I don't think that you can cheat God or nature or the universe or whatever. I don't think again, that's where science gets things fucked up, right? But I think that there will always be a cost to cheating nature,
Absolutely. That's
So
why
if we figure that out, then
that's why people get cancer and shit.
Yeah.
They start fucking with shit they're not supposed to.
exactly.
And your body's like, oh, well, I'm going to make this big growth rate here.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, God bless the kids that are, some people are born with cancer, or
I think
you develop
eventually they'll
cancer at a
figure it
young
out.
age.
I just feel like there's something going on that no one has recognized yet on a molecular level.
Most
And
likely.
It's there right in front of them. They just can't see it yet.
Yeah, and that's where we have to be grateful for science, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
science, and that's like the healthcare system, say, I fucking
Well, we need
fell
to-
and broke my leg in half right now, I'd be so grateful for the Medicare system. Or, God forbid I had, a daughter and she fucking had cancer, what I mean? Out of no, logical reason, what I mean? But that being said,
Well, we need
what's
to-
not talked enough about is how to prevent
Yeah, exactly.
diseases and injuries and all these
Shying
things. in the
away
first
from all that
place,
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is most people, right? That's
for sure.
in my opinion, anyways.
And if we want to advance, we need to get out of this idea and way of creating profit and keeping people ill, because that's the biggest issue. It's not about
100%.
healing and fixing people. They want to keep you on a substance that you never have to stop taking.
100%, man, and that's my
As-
problem
as
with the
soon as-
entire pharmaceutical
Yeah,
system.
exactly.
Right? Is again, not to judge anybody. But I'm not in anybody's shoes. Maybe some person does need, maybe some person actually has chemical
Oh, for
imbalances in their
sure.
brain
Yeah.
where they need,
I'm specifically talking about, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
and I'm just if somebody has a chemical imbalance and they need antidepressants, that's none of my business. However, do I have a strong belief that most people don't need antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills and all that?
Most of them,
100%.
Most of them just need to drink more water, eat better food, go for fucking jogs, and try starting a hobby or something that they're good at.
Quit your miserable job, you know what I mean?
It's like, have you
Get
tried
out of your
that?
relationship that,
Exactly.
might be causing you,
Yeah.
all kinds of shit,
And they're ignoring their gut. Oh, well, just give me this pill and I'll get rid of
give me
the
this
gut feeling.
pill, give me this ice cream, and let me sit down and watch 4 hours of TV, and I'll be
Exactly.
fine till tomorrow.
That's literally what it is.
Yeah. And then you think of how most people live, man. A lot of people, in our Western civilization. They work a job that they're just kind of okay with, you know. A lot of people don't even like it. They get to the weekend, fuck yeah, you know, time to get fucked up so I can forget about my life. You know what I mean? Then everybody's there on Sundays. You're like, oh, I gotta work tomorrow. Mondays suck, you know, and it's like that's how most people live, man.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if 100 years from now, or however you want to look at it, if money is still going to exist, where technology gets so good and people don't have to do anything anymore. What's the currency going to be?
It's a scary place, man. It's a scary place. I hope I'm not around for that.
We're in such a weird transition right now.
Yeah, because like me, I'm like, I like to move. I like to be an athlete, and if I'm working, I like labor. I fish.
Well,
I like to do things. You know, I'm not a gadget person, you know, and again, not taking shots at anybody who's you know, gadgety. It's just that's not how my brain works, you know, and that seems to be where society's moving towards, you know.
You gotta keep your machine running smoothly, your fleshy machine body, you know.
But again, man, you get thinking of these things, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you look at like the grand scheme of things, and we talk about like just being here for a blip in time. You know, it's like it's all happening for a reason. You know, and God has a bigger plan. You know, a bigger plan than, you know, maybe this technology thing. You know, we look at it as like a huge thing, but that's just tiny little thing in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's not even that crazy. Like, if you think about what even this stuff is, it's just a little display screen with a bunch of colors on it. It's not even really anything if you think about it. What's really crazy is the universe out there.
Yeah.
Like at night, if you're away from the city lights and you see, like, you can't even count all the stars in one night. Yeah. That's the crazy display screen.
They actually say it's really important for humans to like look at stars. Yeah. Because like
it's a realization.
Like I've never seen anybody look at stars and been like, oh, this sucks. Exactly. Like for the most part, at least for a couple seconds, it's gonna get you thinking like, wow, you know, like there's things out there.
One of the best times I ever had. Me and a couple buddies and like our girlfriends and everybody, we all went out. We got a couple tents and shit, and it was away from the city lights, and did like 2 or 3 grams of shrooms, and we all just like laid there and just stared. You know, we're seeing shit fly by, seeing like satellites and asteroids and everything, like looking at it, like not like we're looking up. It's like because your perspective changes. It's like you're stuck to a big wall, like a fly on a wall, and you're looking at the universe in front of you like a big display screen. Yeah. That's how it looks when you're tripping, right? And you're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Like, it's crazy how you can see all this, like, all these suns and then stars, suns, whatever you want to call them, big fucking things. And there's all these planets going around, and there's probably, like, other people on them. And
it gets you thinking, man, how, like, it's like you just said, like, we're so consumed by our phones, and you know, like the,
well, like
it's like, no, man, this is fucking crazy, right? You know. And I think, like, you know, like that's an important thing, skill, whatever you want to call it, to have, is to be able to like look up at the stars and question the universe, and
if society was on that type of mind state and they were more spiritual, they would shut down the city lights at least a couple times a week.
Yeah, that'd be cool as hell.
Right? I mean, how hard would that be? Just shut it all down, everybody can see it.
Yeah, that'd be cool as hell.
Fucking sweet, right?
Yeah, because there's nothing like, I know, like when I'm like out in nature.
I know they do that in Hawaii for the observatories, because it just makes it easier for them to see stuff because of the underglow or something like that. Yeah. So they get to see it a lot there.
Yeah, like when I'm out, like, you know, like the Fundy Trails or, you know, Deer Island where I go, like, the stars are just ridiculous.
Oh, it's
but
crazy.
That's the thing, right? You're just away from all these electronics and
it feels
artificial
awesome.
light.
But if you think about what I'm saying, like if you look at a screen, if you take like a little eyepiece and you look, it's just a little red, blue, and green light, like a little pixel, red, blue, and green light, and all it does is brighten and dim. And all they're doing is brightening and dimming and correlating. I forgot to turn this on again. I did this last time. But it's basically just lights like that. And they just brighten and dim, brighten and dim. That's all they're doing. And we get so like amazed by it. We're like, whoa, what's his name's profile? But if you look real close, there's nothing there. It's just a bunch of colors.
Yeah, it's
people are so woed by it.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, man.
I mean, it's still pretty whoa, you know. It's still pretty whoa that, you know, I have this, and You know, I can talk to my friend in fucking Europe
It's
right
pretty
now.
crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still pretty crazy. However, this is child
Yeah.
stuff compared to the
exactly.
masterpiece
Yeah,
of the universe.
yeah.
You know.
You shouldn't be, what's the word? You shouldn't be astonished. Like, I
Shouldn't
remember,
be so consumed by it.
I remember Joe Rogan said this one time, back when he was like doing DMT a lot. The DMT told him to never give into astonishment because it makes you a fool. If you want to stay wise and you want to stay straight and you want to understand what the fuck's going on, don't give into astonishment, because as soon as you do that, you're wowed by things and you become a fool. And you're like, whoa! You know, like the magician's tricks. You're like watching it, and then all of a sudden, when everybody leaves, and he's like, you want to see how I did that? And it's like, that's how you did that? Are you fucking kidding me? How did I miss that?
Yeah.
It's such a stupid little thing that you did.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, whoa! It's like, there's nothing going on there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, man.